Hello and welcome to part 2 of episode 15. We're recording the next night. The suspensions have come out. Really nothing else has happened, but we have more on our plate because we spent 40 minutes talking about a singular game yesterday. So this is going to be a quick one. I am hoping we can be done in like 20-25 minutes. I gotta use the bathroom, so we're on a
That's how
ticking
quick
clock
this is going to be.
Yeah. So, do you want to start it off? What do you want to start with?
Yeah, so it's 3 games for Myers and 3 games for McDavid as well. And we talked about it on that episode. If this camera can just focus for a second, oh my goodness. There we go. Oh, still doesn't work. Who cares? You don't need to see me.
Great.
Myers, I think we both discussed Myers was definitely the worst one just because it was unprovoked. Completely. Which, even if they don't care about that, there's a lot more other factors there. It was definitely harder and more direct, just like straight to Bouchard's teeth. Whereas McDavid, he was obviously going for the head, McDavid was, but Garland is, you could maybe excuse it in some form. But mainly to me, which was brought up, was Myers' suspension history compared to McDavid. And he's not a dirty player by any means, but he definitely has more of those plays to consider a history. So giving them 3 each is just a little weird, and it kind of seemed like there was maybe a little politics at play here, where we're talking about we need to make sure that both fan bases are happy, and we're not treating McDavid like, the league's baby, which is a silly narrative, but if they gave McDavid nothing, obviously, I'd understand if that started to come up, and frankly, I'd be a little suspicious as well, but we know that's not the case, so that narrative better die down. We know it's not going to, but do you think that Myers probably should have gotten another game on top of this?
I said I'd understand if he did. I didn't say I believe he should. I think I understand. Both of them seem 3 games worthy, so I don't think it's that crazy to me.
Yeah.
I also think, it's kind of hard to judge which one was harder. And it's also hard to say that Myers wasn't provoked because we don't know what Bouchard said.
He better have said something about his wife or something like that. I don't know.
So something probably happened. They both look to be 3 games worthy, so I think when you look at them individually, the league would have gotten them right. You can complain because Myers didn't get the extra game if you want, but at the end of the day,
we're definitely splitting hairs here.
What does it really change? McDavid deserved to get 3 games. That's the one that matters there, because obviously McDavid leaving the Oilers lineup is bigger than Myers leaving the Canucks lineup.
Yeah.
I'll respect Myers. You're not McDavid. I think it's fine. I don't think it's the craziest thing ever. They had a similar play. It was a similar play. It was at different times, different situations, but it was a similar play, and you don't want... The league probably just doesn't want to get yelled at for giving Myers an extra game. I think I understand it.
Yeah, I don't... again, we're splitting hairs. I don't care too much, really. I did see some Oilers fans. Bad representation here, I gotta say. They're not doing too well with this incident. People are saying not protecting the stars. That doesn't make any sense because Garland's not a star. He's a star in my books this year. But we're not talking about, McDavid getting a cross-check to the face by, I don't know, Brock McGinn or something, and he just goes down and no suspension. No. You are fully protecting your players by giving both guys a pretty similar play. Still think Myers should have gotten 4, but you were pretty similar play, and they're both getting the same suspension. That's the definition of protecting your players. I do not really buy that narrative at all. Frankly, it's being a little stupid, a little babyish, and homer for some Oilers fans, which is going to happen. A lot of casuals out there. There was another narrative I wanted to discuss. People were talking about Myers, because he's not as good as McDavid should get less, which that's just silly. Like you said, obviously McDavid being out for 3 games is a lot different than Myers being out 3 games. The Canucks can survive that. The Oilers take a significant hit to their chances of winning. That's a stupid narrative. You cannot have a superstar factor go into that.
Yeah, you definitely don't get to get away with things just because you're better at the game.
Yeah.
That is not how that works at all.
it would send a pretty bad message, I'd say. You'd see McDavid just kind of get away with a lot more, piss off people.
I'm just thinking right now, is that McDavid's first suspension ever?
I think he got one game for the elbow on Kotkaniemi, I want to say.
Okay.
But off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else.
So it's definitely his longest one.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
That's fun. I mean, he's heated against the Canucks. It's kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, it was an emotional game. It's definitely the worst thing I've ever seen him do. It was, yeah. It had everything to it. It had intention, right to the head, cross-check, penalty. There you go.
They're really setting up for a playoff series if the Canucks can get there.
You better hope. I don't know.
I really am hoping. Alvin spoke to the media today. He said that he believes that they are still a playoff team if everything goes right, which, like, obviously, if everything goes right for San Jose, they're a playoff team. Not everything is going to go right for San Jose. Anyway, he has belief they can be a playoff team. It also seems like they're trying to get something done, but they just haven't found anything currently. Which I guess brings us to JT Miller.
Oh, yeah.
First off, I'm going to let you weigh in here because one of the rumored teams is the Oilers. Would you want that? And either way, what would you give up to get JT Miller?
See, that's the thing. They said the Oilers were in on Miller, and I just... How? It's not that we don't have the cap space to potentially do it in a way. I mean, it would be very difficult. There might be retention. There might be a third team. You'd have to give up roster players. But they could get it done, theoretically, if they had to. That's not the issue here. They have the best 1-2 center in the league. Do you want Miller on the wing? And the wingers are fine right now in the top 6. So do you have him at, like, 3C? Like, I don't know. You wouldn't... The Oilers are not... might talk about this later. The Oilers have a management team that's really status quo. They do not go for big name kind of trade targets. So it's really strange that they value the team a lot more. They value the fit a lot more than the actual talent. So it feels a little weird that they might be in on him, but maybe that's just a little fake rumor. I don't know. We'll see how trustworthy Mug NHL is, but I mean, I'd imagine they'd give up Jeff Skinner. It would make a lot of sense. Maybe Brett Kulak. I wouldn't want to do that trade, though.
I will say, you would hate this, but obviously I don't want to give him to the Oilers.
Yeah.
If we have to get rid of him, don't let it be the Oilers. So if it were the Oilers, I would need, like, Nugent Hopkins to come out of that not hating everything.
I mean, yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that if I was a Canucks fan. Obviously, I would never give up Nugent Hopkins unless it was like 1-for-1 in that instance, and there's no reason for the Canucks to do that. So it just makes no sense. It makes no sense in terms of assets, cap, everything. So JT Miller, we've already got some of the returns, the possible returns, kind of leaked out there. The most recent one, and I think the most detailed one, was they were talking about Hedel, Lindgren, and a conditional first, and the deal really fell through on the conditions of the first, which I imagine would be like lottery protection this year because they're in the bottom 12. But, oof, I mean, do you take that? Do you take Hedel and Lindgren at a first?
No, I need more than that, and I like Hedel as a player. I wouldn't want him to be the main piece of a Miller trade. He has like 50 points in him a season, I think, which is good. But Miller has 100 points in him, so that was severely underwhelming considering the other players we've been looking at from New York, like Lafreniere and Braden Schneider. Lindgren isn't that good either.
No.
It is funny it fell apart on a first rounder when both of these teams want to make the playoffs, though.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in New York's shoes, you could potentially get, regardless of what you think of him, a first liner in JT Miller, 100-point player, for a third liner and a bottom pairing defenseman. I don't care what the picks are. If I'm the Rangers, like, are you kidding me? I mean,
That's what I'm
sure, it
thinking.
can turn into a first overall pick, potentially, but you probably would be doing better than a first overall pick if you had Miller on the roster, I'd imagine.
It's not even like it's a first for a rental. Miller has like 6 years left on his
Yeah,
contract.
that's
So,
way
uh,
if you think about what the Canucks paid for Miller, or what the Rangers, where did Miller go the first? He went to the Lightning. Yeah,
it was
what did the Lightning pay for the Rangers? It was like a first and a player and a little bit of a pick. That's more than what they're getting now when he's in the prime of his career and under contract.
the Canucks
I don't get
also
it.
actually gave up a first rounder in the trade for Miller, and it looked like a stupid trade for the Canucks at the time. And then I can't remember who the first. I think the first ended up being Mukmadulin, because I think it got
Oh, you're
passed
right.
around a bunch.
Yeah.
I think it did.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, I'd rather have Miller than Mukmadulin.
Just wait.
So, yeah, no, I guess we'll see. But obviously, that trade worked out. So Miller's clearly worth a first, especially at this stage in his career. Even if he's having a tougher season, like, I don't know if we're getting the whole story there, because if it fell through on that,
I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. I imagine what it probably was they were talking about adding a first, like another first. Because if you're the Canucks, there's no way you're even entertaining that roster. If there were two firsts involved, maybe it's like you wouldn't use both firsts. You'd use it to get another player. But in terms of value, I'd say that's a lot more fair, especially considering some of the other offers that we were hearing about. I'm not sure how valid those are. But I'll just read you off a couple here. So they were also talking about just Lafreniere and Schneider, which automatically that's a way better offer. I think you'd agree. And there was another one. I'm not sure how valid it was. There was Kotkaniemi, one of the Carolina defense, and a first round pick.
that's one I hadn't seen until you said it right now. But Kakaniemi is a player that sticks out of my mind. Where if we're trading Miller to Carolina, I would assume he's coming back to Vancouver.
Yeah, it just
'Cause
would make way more sense.
He's a center. I mean, he's not that great. His contract is awful, just deplorable. But he can maybe get you like half a point per game, and we would need to replace Miller on the center depth with someone. So I would assume it would be Kakaniemi. And Carolina has no shortage of defensemen, so they could stand to give up someone there. That is exactly what I would expect that trade to be, I would think. Obviously, if we were ever able to get Lafreniere and Schneider out of the Rangers, that's probably the move other than keeping Miller, because, well, first of all, Rangers aren't going to give up those players. But they're very, very good. I would really like to have Lafreniere. I've wanted Lafreniere for a while. But, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see him currently getting traded, and this might age badly. But I don't know if they're gonna. I really don't know if they're gonna find a trade that they like.
That kind of brings me back to what I said yesterday, which is why you can't win a JT Miller trade. I don't think, just because of his cap hit, which is like reasonable for what he is, but just in today's world, moving that kind of cap carries with it more than just getting a player. You got to move assets around to a playoff team. And hold on, there's one more here. Nemitz, Palat, and a pick. Probably not a first round pick. For me, I think I think I'd probably still take Lafreniere and Schneider, but that's an interesting offer because I really like Nemitz. But I mean, again, you're not winning that trade.
I would 100% prefer Lafreniere and Schneider, but Nemitz is unbelievably enticing in that trade. Platt is nothing.
Yeah, he's just cap.
He's just kind of there. Nemitz is a really, really intriguing player, but yeah, I guess I don't really know. It seems like they're not going to get anything worth Miller, and a lot of the players that are being rumored are wingers or defensemen, and they aren't filling in that center gap, which worries me because when I look at the team without Miller on it, our 2C automatically becomes Pius Suter,
Ooh.
and I don't have Like, I love Pius Suter, but
That does not
that's a
inspire
guy you want to have
confidence.
on your third line.
Yeah, exactly.
Third line or winger on one of the top two lines, not your 2C.
Well, we'll see what happens there. I think we both agree that just not trading him is probably the best option. I mean, I don't know what's going on in that locker room. Maybe someone's boinking each other's wife, but we'll see.
As long as if they can work it out and make the locker room a friendly old place and not a toxic work environment, it's definitely the move. And I feel like they can figure it out.
They're professionals. They have to. If someone were to write a book about anything from this year, maybe we'll see like an Oilers Stanley Cup. That'll be a nice book. But I'd love to hear about what's going on in the locker room right now. Like, specifically what happened. I need to know. Do they just not like each other? That can't be it. Something had to have happened.
Imagine all the people who recently signed in Vancouver, like over the offseason, going to this place that's just full of vibes. They're on the come up, and then they get there and it's just a nightmare every day. Everybody hates
the
everyone.
young Canucks, coming up in the Pacific Division. They just won the division. No.
Like, I wonder, the Abbotsford Canucks environment seems so nice. Like, everybody seems to love each other. They're such a young team too. They're just having fun. I think they're currently on a 6-game win streak. So imagine all those players that have gone from the AHL to the NHL. They're like, oh yeah, I'm in the show. But their life is like probably way worse.
Parents
They
are arguing in the
having as
locker
much
room.
fun at work.
It's. I mean, I can't even imagine. I've never even heard anything like that. I can imagine probably the Oilers back in like the early 2010s. That's kind of what it was like. From just stories down the line 10 years later, they talk about, people were just kind of up partying and they didn't really care about winning, and there were little clashes in the room, like Yakupov was super toxic or whatever. Hall like had a serious anger management issue, which makes sense why they trade him for low. But we'll hear about this in 10 years. We'll come back in 10 years.
I hope we do.
So for the Oilers this past week, I mean, besides the Canucks game, we kind of were just rolling over everyone. Nothing too interesting to talk about. And then they drop a bombshell, which it goes from John Klingberg might come back out of retirement. I don't think he was even retired, but he might come back to play in the NHL. Everyone thought he was retired and done for. And then it comes to he's probably a Maple Leaf or an Oiler. And then it comes to within like 24 hours, he's signing with the Oilers in the morning. Like, where'd that come from? And initially when I heard the news about Klingberg coming back, and initially it was reported like, the Devils, the Rangers, Leafs, Oilers are all in on him, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't love it because I think everyone knows he's pretty awful defensively. Even when he was in his prime, he was unreasonably bad outside of the O-zone. So not super stoked for that, and I doubt that's going to change on the Oilers, even though our defensive structure is very good, and I think he's coming into a very good situation. There's probably no other situation in the league he could have stepped into and have more of a chance to succeed. I mean, we're always thinking about the Tyson Barrie kind of effect where you can pass to McDavid, not for the next 3 games. You can pass to Draisaitl, all those people. You have good offensive players around you to produce. But there is a clear hole. There is no other clear hole on a contending team, on a top 5 team like this, where your second right D is so insanely weak relative to like what you could possibly have there. So he's automatically the second right D instead of Stetcher. Bye-bye, buddy. I bet he hated that news, Klingberg signing. And now, on paper, 5 years ago, considering Klingberg, maybe this defense looks pretty elite, more elite than it already is. But I don't think it will work out. I mean, you're coming back from a couple major surgeries. He's not going to get power play time, maybe second power play time, because Nurse kind of sucks there. But the main people I see opposing this kind of don't understand that the Oilers are one of the best defensive teams in the league. I still don't really understand if it's more the actual blue line. The top pair has been a bit worse defensively this year, Ekholm and Bouchard both. But Nurse has been so good defensively, like way too good for what he should be in the past. Kulak, Emberson, elite bottom pair. We always know that. But Klingberg, I think he might be an amazing fit for Darnell Nurse because he always plays way better with an actual puck mover. He played amazing with Bouchard. He played better with Barry than he did with Adam Larson in 2021 before he signed that massive contract. So I think it's a fit. I think it works. And again, it's kind of free. We're not giving up anything, so I'll take it. I'm ready to see how it works.
I think Nurse Klingberg as a pairing would get absolutely caved in playoffs.
You'd think so. You'd think so, but like it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. That's just their reputation speaking. We'll see how bad Klingberg is defensively. We'll wait. We'll wait.
We will. No, you know what? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's give him a clean slate and see how fast he ruins it.
Honestly,
anyway,
yeah.
Let's. You want to move on to the questions now?
I think we can.
We've been going for long enough, I think.
All right.
I'll look now.
Welcome to the Pacific Perspectives Mailbag.
We got two of them. We'll start with this one from the real CB Verdon. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to pronounce your username, but here we are. The question is, has the Yzer plan failed? How much more time does Stevie Y have left to turn things around?
Ooh, I like that. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay.
You go first.
So I really don't love a lot of the draft picks they've made, namely Sebastian Cossa, Nate Danielson, but you're going to have those misses. What we've seen from teams throughout the years is you have to win trades and you have to win signings. You have to make smart moves all across the board. It can't just be drafting. It can't just be free agency. It can't just be trades. You have to get all three in order to win a team. Think about where the Panthers are. They drafted good. Well, kind of good. They got their core pieces from the draft. They traded good. Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, Gustav Forsling. He was a waiver pickup, actually. They got good signings. I mean, Florida kind of helps there. But Detroit doesn't have any of the three, frankly. They've made a couple good trades. They've made a couple good draft picks. They've made a couple good signings, mostly garbage signings if we're thinking about it like Sherratt. Just all across the board, they've made a bunch of dumb moves, 2 dumb moves for every single good move they've made. I just think about trading a second and Jake Wallman to the Sharks for nothing. You didn't need to do that. And he's even said he didn't really ask anyone else around the league about it. He just said to the Sharks, "Do you want a second and Wallman?" And they're like, "Yeah, obviously." And now he's like a 50-point power play quarterback in San Jose, of all places. I honestly don't believe in Steve Yzerman anymore. He's just a bad GM. I don't think they're going anywhere.
It's hard to discredit what he did in Tampa. He made a very, very good Lightning team. But, he's been in Detroit for a while now. They haven't made playoffs at all. I think they have the second longest playoff drought in the league after Buffalo, and Buffalo doesn't really count, do they?
No.
So, you look at the team, it's so bad defensively, both the forwards and defensemen. Like, they have Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko, 2 guys who just do not play defense at all.
Not at all.
And they get rid of Jake Wallman for nothing. Like, it's just so bad. Everything is so bad, and I hate it because they're my second favorite team. And I watch a lot of their games. I keep up with them because my dad's a fan. But it's so brutal, and it's so hard to fire him because of his legacy in Detroit. But if it gets to a point, I don't mean that in a Hawk 2 way. At some point, you can't let it go any further because that defense is genuinely awful. Like Petrie, Sherratt, Hall. Good God.
He built every point of it. He built every bit of it.
Yeah, I do like... he's so hit or miss with drafting because I do like ASP. I think Edvinson's good. And obviously, the Cider pick was crazy. The Cider pick is what made everybody believe in him in the first place.
Yeah, I think so.
But, man, I feel like if you don't make playoffs next year, I'd assume they're not making it this year.
No.
If they don't make playoffs next year,
He's dead. He's dead.
Yeah.
And he's hired some bad
him,
coaches, too.
You have to talk to him and get him to step down voluntarily to save his legacy in Detroit. Can't let him end it being fired.
I think so. I mean, it's just a poorly built roster. He had some really good home run, amazing moves, but that doesn't matter when you make 3 terrible moves every single time.
A lot of those players too, they were good pickups individually, but on the team, it just doesn't work. Getting Kane, obviously amazing, but the rest of the roster isn't really built for Kane. It feels like nobody can really support him defensively, and obviously they have DeBrincat, so there's some chemistry there. But I love Larkin. I think the Comfer signing was terrible. I remember wanting the Canucks to go after Comfer, and I saw the price tag that he got from Detroit, and I almost cried.
Made no sense. I think that same offseason, Nuge got the exact same contract.
Andrew Kopp is making too much also, and Andrew Kopp is terrible. As someone who has had
ridiculous.
As someone who has had Andrew Kopp in 4 straight fantasy seasons as a running gag, nobody knows how bad Andrew Kopp is like I do. But they have some good players. They got Tyler Mott. That's a good defensive player, a good penalty killer. Doesn't score. It's just such a weird roster. I don't know what the direction is.
Yeah, that's pretty well said. It has no direct... For such a team that's supposed to be rebuilding and young, they don't have any direction. I mean, Jonathan Berggren is a good example of this. Why is he not playing in the top 9 every night? He is a genuinely good player. He's defensively sound. He has a lot of potential. He's a massive guy. And there's just nowhere for him to play because you've got Christian Fischer playing 15 minutes a night instead of him on the third line. Why would you put those stopgaps there? I don't get it. A couple is nice, but filling the team with free agents is just asinine.
Yeah, I guess we just don't see the vision. Maybe it'll work out at some point.
Maybe.
Know.
Somehow.
Let's go on to the next question. It's clear we don't believe in the Yzer plan at all. So that's the answer to that. The next question is from Cole Russell, which is, the Canucks get stranded on an island. Who dies first? Who lives the longest? We can do this for the Oilers as well. I didn't actually think about this. Do you have an answer for this currently?
You know what? I'm going to answer for the Canucks as well. I think it would be Quinn Hughes.
Who dies first?
Who dies first? Yeah. And I think
Why?
Garland would survive the longest because he would blend in with the bears and the wildlife that were there. He'd do Peter from Hunger Games. Is that his name? He'd blend in with the rocks. Peter. Peter. He'd blend in with the rocks. You know what I mean?
Okay. You think he has those baking skills that PETA had?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, sure. Why is Quinn dying first?
He's just a he's kind of a weakling. I feel like his immune system is really bad. You know what I mean? Look at his face. Do you have an answer for this?
Yeah, okay, so honestly, for the Canucks, I feel like it has to be Miller surviving the longest. I feel like he's built for that. He's a tough guy. He's not going to take any shit. I feel like it's got to be Miller surviving the longest. And I also feel like he'll just sacrifice anyone if he needs to. I don't feel like... I don't want to talk into his character a lot. This is a hypothetical. But he's feeding Pettersson to a bear.
Oh!
The person who's dying first, Pettersson after getting fed to a bear. No, I probably have See, I can't even say Höglander. I don't think it would be Höglander.
He's pretty fragile too.
I feel like Danton Heinen. I'm gonna say Danton Heinen dies first.
Maybe. I mean, he does kind of have the face for
reasoning. I have no reasoning behind that. It's just kind of a soul read. I don't think Danton Heinen's making it that far.
I like that answer. This is really a hockey girl Twitter kind of question.
It
But
is. It's
you know,
fun,
for the Oilers, I think Ekholm is absolutely making it the longest. I think you'd agree with me there. Would you say?
Maybe Draisaitl.
Yeah, he's my second choice there too. He'd definitely be there with Ekholm the entire time.
I would cheer for Podkolzin.
Podkolzin is a good pick too. Actually, you know what? I'm changing my answer. It's Podkolzin. You know those Russians? They don't play around, especially in the wildlife.
He can make friends with the Bears.
Yeah, he would wear the bear. Actually, I think
perfect.
he would. Yeah, he would get him from the inside. I think.
Stuart Skinner's dying first. Stuart Skinner's dying first day, actually.
No. He would be in the top 5 of people who are like remaining on the island. I think. No, Troy Stetcher would be dead first.
You just hate Troy Stetcher.
No, okay, maybe. But again, look at my answer with Quinn Hughes. Look, his immune system looks like it's shot. He looks like he hasn't had a milk in like 2 years. He looks like he hasn't had a vitamin or an iron, a speck of iron in his blood in years. He looks like he's about to fall over by just a simple push of the wind. I think that's also Troy Stetcher, you know?
Nah, Troy Stetcher is good. He's got it. He's got it under control. Stuart Skinner's dying.
So
I'll make sure of it.
So your pick is Skinner to die first and Draisaitl make it? You'll make sure of it! Threats on the Pacific.
Holy hell.
We're getting we're getting a police visit tomorrow.
I'm giving donations to the other survivors if we're going the Hunger Games route. I'm gonna donate Podkolzin a health
You're
potion.
cheering against them.
No, my pick's Podkolzin. My pick's Podkolzin because I'm biased towards Podkolzin.
Besides that, I actually think I agree with. I think I fully agree with Podkolzin being the pick there. I mean, he's Russian. He's probably got the survival skills. He already has a kid at like 23. Like, come on.
He had a kid like that. That
He
is
had a
not
kid at like
newborn kid.
18.
Yeah. Anyway, this question definitely got us on some lists. So we should probably stop talking now.
FBI
while we
watch
still
list.
can. Disclaimer: we don't wish harm on any of these players.
I do.
I don't wish harm on any of these players. Nor do I.
I don't condone this behavior.
I don't want to pretend like I know everything about them. It's just for fun. It's for fun, guys. It's all for fun.
These are
And
just
we're
little
having fun.
parasocial relationships we're having here.
Yeah, we have fun. Anyway, that'll do it for part 2. I hope this is brief. I don't know how long it was. I really got to use the bathroom.
Me too.
We will probably have to record on Friday. We'll probably have to do another like part 1, part 2 because of the Oilers Canucks game on Thursday.
Ooh.
So
We'll see how that works out.
We might be seeing you guys pretty soon. But I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank God Connor McDavid is suspended. Keep his ass in the fucking
Screw you.
pen. My bro did it.
Screw you.